Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a sort of World of Warships commentary. Well, it's not a traditional commentary, and that I won't be talking about the game that's going on in the background. I want to be talking about how the game plays, and, well, basically the various classes of ships and how that could be improved. In this case, I want to talk about a potential split between traditional battleships and battlecruisers. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of gameplay of a ship that was traditionally a battlecruiser, as there aren't actually that many in the game right now. So right now it does make a lot of sense that the battleships are literally made up of battleships and battlecruisers. But in the future, when you add more, then you really should start splitting them up. Though I'm not quite sure. You see, a battleship and a battlecruiser form two completely different roles. Your battleship is the thing, kind of your artillery, your sniper, sits at the back of the field, takes damage. I don't know, it has lots of range, it has the armor to withstand a lot of damage, whilst a battlecruiser has the guns, so it can theoretically duke it out with a battleship, but it doesn't have the armor to take it from the battleships. Battlecruisers were designed primarily to fight against cruisers and lead cruiser squadrons. Take the first battlecruiser, HMS Invincible. She had the same guns as the Dreadnought, 12-inch guns, albeit she had one less turret, only 4 double-gun turrets instead of 5. But she was a lot faster because she had less armor. That sort of was the goal of a battlecruiser, to be a much faster, more heavily armed version of a cruiser, hence the name Battlecruiser, because that's basically what it was. It had cruiser armor, but battleship guns. Now, as I said, there isn't much of a point in separating the battleship class in-game into battleships and battlecruisers, because there currently aren't enough battlecruisers to make up their own tree. The Japanese line has the Ishizuchi, which is premium. Technically the Congo, though that was refitted into a fast battleship, though it technically still is a battlecruiser because it just doesn't have battleship grade armor. You've got the Miyogi at tier 4 as well, and the Amagi at tier 8. The Americans didn't have any battlecruisers, though there was the Lexington class that could be used in the future, in fact. And then you have the sort of the funny German situation of the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. The Royal Navy always referred to Scharnhorst and Gneisenau as battle cruisers, simply because of their low gun caliber of 11 inches. But everyone else seems to call them battleships, and I can understand that. They have quite a lot of armor. They're very well protected ships, and they're also quite fast, so that would technically make them fast battleships. But the gun caliber at the time of World War II was just very small, more almost pocket battleship-like, very sort of heavy cruiser-style armor, which is in itself a similar problem, because you have the Deutschland-class armoured cruisers, which were also known as the pocket battleships, and those had 11-inch guns, and well, those weren't battleships, but they weren't cruisers either. The fact is, though, is there much of a point in making a battlecruiser line? As in making them a class of their own? Most people would probably just not give much of a damn and still continue to use them as battleships. As the Royal Navy found out at the Battle of Jutland, that is not a good idea. Especially when they aren't as particularly well armoured, or, well, didn't learn any lessons from the Titanic. You can't use a battlecruiser as a first-line ship. It has the guns to do the damage to enemy battleships, but it just doesn't have the armour. And that is made pretty well clear in the Ishizuchi and the Amagi. These two ships, 4 tiers apart, but they do play very similar to each other. Thing is, Ishizuchi is very poorly protected, and when she has a nasty habit of seeing tier 5 ships and their 14-inch guns, so Ishizuchi tends to die quite easily. And even going up against the various cruisers, her armor just doesn't stand up well to the guns of that tier, because it's not very thick. Amagi at tier 8 only has 254mm of armor, at a tier where everything else has been using 12-inch or 13.5 inches of armor. 254, that's about 10 inches, so yeah, that's not particularly a lot of armor at that tier, and it really shows. If it's angled, 10 inches of armor will easily bounce shells if it's angled, but show the flat side of the broadside, the flat side of the ship, and the Amagi does not take damage very well. It won't absorb it. It'll more than likely take a couple of citadels. If it takes it in the right place, you may well end up with a dead Amagi, whilst 1 second before it was on full health. Introducing an entirely new class of ship, like the battlecruiser, it would ask people to make a difference in play for these particular ships. Though as far as these people are concerned, like, they're not going to care much if it's called a battlecruiser or a battleship, because it's still got these large guns, like 14 inches or 15 inches. As far as they're concerned, the Amagi will still be a battleship, because it was an Amagi 1 patch ago. It was a battleship 1 patch ago, why can't it still be a battleship?
We're taking on water quickly.
You'd have to learn to start focusing the cruisers down, rather than the battleships, and well, frankly, you can't quite rely on the everyday person. Like, I'm not sure the type of demographic that World of Warships has reached. I'm sure a good amount of them are grown men or women who have an interest in naval history and the likes. But there are likely just quite a few children, who play this game. Possibly. And they won't really know much of a difference unless they've done a lot of historical research like I have. Okay, so I hope I've made some sense here, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to stop there because I've stopped making sense to myself. Yeah, that's a a bit of a pain. It happens. Sometimes I just stop making sense to myself. And I just have to stop, because otherwise I'm just going to grow even more confused. Instead, I'm now going to focus on this replay now. And I said I wasn't, but whatever. May as well get this replay out of the way. This happened in the last days of patch 5.11. I'm pretty sure of that anyway. Or was it? It's got the pirate voice. And you see that Scharnhorst over there? Guys, death of me. Literally. I just couldn't get the RNG, and then the game decided to be a fucking cunt. And I said the game, okay? Because for some reason I zoomed in on this guy, and then for some reason the game zoomed back out and then back in, but it was almost like it was trying to shoot at a target 16 kilometers away, even though he was like, look, I had to come back down, and that cost me some time. And yeah, Sherman007 got me, and my frustration showed. Oh my fucking god. The game screwed me over. And you may actually recognize this clip, because this was in my happenings video. Basically, this Sherman007 guy, he's a subscriber. This is only the second time I've ever met a subscriber of mine in a game, and the last time was back in, must have been 2014, a long time ago. And little did I know at the time, but this guy, he was divisioning with Mighty Mograine. He's actually got a live stream, so that's the first live streamer I've met, that I know I've met, though he's not a particularly large live streamer. He's nowhere near the likes of xcflcvfiovykgbhoihbguiibh. Reminds me of the time I got into xcflcvfiovykgbhoihbguiibh's live stream though. Not directly, it was a replay. When the TOG 2 stopped being sold on the European server gift shop. At all. I mean, we wouldn't see a lot of those yeah. So, if you're watching this, Sherman, who weirdly enough goes by the name Congo the Waifu, really? I understand. Everyone's a waifu. Everyone has a waifu. Your waifu is laifu. But yeah. Fair play to you. I was frustrated. You know, it happens. We all get frustrated at times. I'm sure you've had the same thing. You've had to stop playing at some point, but you know, it happens. Farewell to you all. See you in the next one. Good night.